Okay, thank you very much, Bea. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Serkan from OpenGeoHub, and today I'll present to you how we can use FAPAR and gross primary productivity as a powerful indicators and tools to monitor land degradation, and explain how we produce these layers from satellite observations. And as we look at the land degradation, of course, it's important to understand the broader force behind it. Globally, we see decrease in arable lands, mainly driven by anthropogenic effects, mainly urbanization, of course, expanding cities and infrastructures that are consuming the fertile soils. At the same time, the growing global population is putting immense pressure on the food system, which is, of course, also leading to demand in the agricultural production. So we are using a chemical fertilizer and pesticides to boost yields to compensate this increase in demands. Of course, overarching of all of this, the climate change also alters the rainfall patterns and intensifies the droughts, which makes the ecosystem even more vulnerable. So together, these factors actually pressures and accelerates the degradation of land resources, and that is why finding global scale indicators of uh, soil health or land health, like FAPAR or GPP layers, is actually quite crucial layers to track down. Um, FAPAR is actually a core essential climate variable, but also essential biodiversity variable as well. So it's widely used in models such as primary productivity, and is actually a direct proxy of the health of vegetation layers. And to monitor how far ecosystem have actually shifted from its potential state, the primary productivity and the state of vegetation are commonly used. Thus, we can use FAPAR and also GPP together to monitor the ecosystem and its functioning, of course, relative to its natural potential. Which means we can offer a much more ecologically meaningful way to detect land degradation if we combine the indicators such as FAPAR and GPP together. Um, Let me present how we can actually model the FAPAR in terms of using satellite observation and Earth observation data sets. Of course, you see here a modeling framework where we actually model the actual FAPAR using about 12,500 points with spatiotemporal covariates that can actually impact and can be drivers of the FAPAR itself. And we model the change in the actual FAPAR along the 22 years in a monthly time series. So by actually creating a model that can detect the actual FAPAR together with the climate variables or biophysical indicators, and also anthropogenic effects like human footprints or night lights or any other indicator that can give us the effect of human actually footprint. Is the model can now understand how these anthropogenic layers actually affect the change in the FAPAR. So in this model, when we are actually doing a prediction, we can actually set this human footprints or anthropogenic layers to zero, so that we can actually model, instead of actual FOPR, now it's the full potential FOPR, where actually land can actually has as a potential. So to do this, of course, we also need the actual distribution of the potential distribution of biomes, as opposed to what actually land cover map shows. Shows on the real data. So here we can see a global distribution of both actual FOPR and the potential FOPR, and you can see also the difference between these two layers as a potential gap between these two layers. So of course the negative gap and positive gaps have meaningful distribution based on what actually biome maps shows or land cover map actually shows. So for instance, if we try to take a look at some local behavior of these differences, you can see we are now showing three different regions, A, B, and C regions, where actually the first example, the A, is from a reforestation project in Colombia. And you can see that we observe a positive FOPR trend here. So the positive FOPR trend actually overlaps with the reforestation project. So it actually quite makes sense. And also the decrease in the land surface temperature trend is actually accompanies these information, which is also valid for this region. So but also if we look at the time series of both actual and potential FOPR, so the actual FOPR initially starts lower than the potential, but steadily increases over time. Eventually, it reaches or sometimes it even exceeds the potential FOPR, indicating that the successful vegetation recovery through the restoration efforts. So in the second place, the B, it is near a Ivory River, as far as I remember, in Brazil. We can see the effect of deforestation in this time series and also the trend maps, as opposed to what we see in A. So here we see, of course, a negative FOPR trend, which is overlapping with the deforestation zone and the rise in land surface temperature. So in contrast to stable potential FOPR, the actual FOPR now declines sharply, starting from near 2008, and it increases sharply until you see 2015, 2016, so creating a large gap between these two layers. Again, the potential FOPR across the region remains homogeneously high, but the gap between the actual and potential is quite large towards the end of the time series. So after seeing these detailed locations, so we can also analyze these gaps, the FOPR gaps across different land cover types. So the largest negative FOPR gaps, on the left, you can see that it's actually in lichen and mosses, which is abbreviated as LIGMO. And urban areas, we are also seeing a huge gap. And the tree cover, the needle leaf deciduous trees, which is trend, and also shrub and herbaceous cover areas, which are usually above 70% of gap. The data actually falls in the negative gap part. So when we look at the second one, of course, we see that the strong negative trends in the FAPAR in this case is actually falls in sparse vegetation or urban areas, which actually also supports the information on the left. Um, so of course, FAPAR resolution is the FAPAR layer we produce is 250 meters, which is actually which can actually can suffer from a mixed pixel problem due to relatively lower resolution, and also the trends on the difference in the potential and actual must be carefully interpreted, because not all areas where we see actual potential is actually higher than the actual is higher than the potential doesn't necessarily mean a land improvement. So it's actually critical to treat this FAPAR gap as a diagnostic tool rather than providing a definitive answer on its own. To support this actually FAPAR gaps and trends, we need to also take a look at the GPP gross primary productivity layers. It's actually represents the total carbon uptake by vegetation. So unlike FAPAR, which reflects the light observed, of course, GPP actually measures the actual biochemical production of the biomass. So this makes it particularly valuable because it tells us not just the vegetation or how green the vegetation is, but how much carbon is also actively fixing. So that's why actually GPP can be a better indicator to detect the land degradation compared to what we see in FAPAR, of course. And so you see here our modeling framework for GPP. We are modeling a bi-monthly GPP product at 30-meter resolution globally, which is the first time ever produced in this resolution, covering 22 years of time series. So you can see on the right the annual change of GPP values in grassland products. So our main objective was, of course, to monitor the grassland areas. So that's why the final GPP values we produce are in grassland regions, but also to make our product more accessible. We also created another framework where we create what we call uncalibrated GPP for all land covers on the earth. Not only for grassland, but of course for all other land covers. But in this case, the reason why we call this product uncalibrated is because they do not show the real primary productivity, because in the equation we are removing the light use efficiency factor, which tells us how productive this actually land cover or this biome is in terms of how efficiently it uses the potential radiation. But we are setting this factor as 1 so that it can be land cover independent, which means user can use any land cover information they want, or any light use efficiency factor they would like to calibrate the GPP with, because there are some standard tables computed globally, but it doesn't have to show directly the real productivity in that region. So here we show you an example of one region. You see in here there we have a land cover map derived from Modi's land cover product, which is 500 meter, of course, by the way. But for this case, we are downscaling it to 30 meter to match our uncalibrated GPP product. And next, you see a map, light use efficiency map, converted from this land cover using using mod 17 light use efficiency factors that shows the productivity of different layers. So at the bottom, you see both uncalibrated and calibrated GPP products by applying this light use efficiency factor to the uncalibrated GPP layer. So after that, you can see the difference in productivity, where actually the difference in land cover actually takes place. Of course, when we are doing an analysis for land degradation, so when we try to, for example, calculate a trend in longer time series, if the land cover is not stable, using uncalibrated GPP can lead to error. That's why this calibration is actually quite important in the analysis. Otherwise, it can lead to wrong decisions. So you can see here our product and the bi-monthly change in 1 year, of course. We also compared our GPP product with the other state-of-art GPP layers that are available, and to conduct an analysis on how accurate we are actually doing in modeling GPP. We actually made an extensive comparison with the flux towers we collected globally from different sources, like FluxNet in 2015 or other regional or local flux towers. And we validated our GPP product so that it can be accurately and reliably used for such cases like land degradation monitoring. Of course, if you want to access this data set, we have an early access program of World Resource Institute, so you can actually request this data before the publication actually takes place. But you can also find out more about this data set in this preprint, of course. So actually, trying to detect the land degradation is actually one thing, but seeing the drivers behind it is actually one another. So it's quite important to know what is underlying in this land degradation process. Of course, we're not modeling all of these layers that we show as potential drivers of land degradation, of course, from biophysical parameters to anthropogenic layers such as land use and management practices and lack of tenure security or sustainable management or global market demands, etc., which are also the drivers of the land degradation itself. But it's important to emphasize that they are essential contextual layers that must be tracked alongside the indicators like FOPR and GPP to better understand and respond to land degradation. And for example, in here, you see the work of the Tian et al. 2024, published last year in ESST, who developed the Landsat-based bi-monthly and annual spectral indices time series for continental Europe. Which is also covering the temporal period between 2000 to 2022, just like our GPP and FOPR values, FOPR layers. So these kind of data sets allows us to consistent track of vegetation health and across like 22 years, 2 decades. Which helps us catch the high resolution monitoring of the degradation patterns and also integration of other environmental variables like topography, soil, or human footprint layers, of course. One concrete example that we can give how all of these indicators and data cubes can be used in practice is the land degradation neutrality tool, which is developed within the Open Earth Monitor project. The Open Earth Monitor project actually provides an open source tool that delivers the detailed land productivity and the potential data at high resolution. So by actually integrating these data cubes and open access data layers like FAPAR and GPP, we are actually proposing, we are actually offering a user-friendly tools such as like LDN platform or other platforms that can actually benefit from these open source layers, so that we can actually leverage these layers to monitor land degradation in a more accessible and more transparent way. So this is my talk, and if you have any question, I would like to hear more.